Gallery view. All right, mate. We are live. What's up?
Hi Josh, how are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, doing very well. Lots going on recently.
Yeah,
You got anything you want to jump in straight into before we do the AMA?
yeah. Let's do it. I mean, when we chatted last May 7th, a lot has changed since May 7th. I think at that point we had, I think, three apps integrated, and we were doing, I want to say, like 20 to 30, maybe $20 a day in revenue. Um, and the ad network has come so far from that. I think the other day we hit like $300 in one day, and we can
Wow.
kind of walk through that in a minute. But the other thing is we're at 7 apps now, and we get people reaching out to us. We're actually getting quite a bit of traction on just people trying to figure out like what we're doing. We had a advertiser reach out to us wanting to promote one of their communities. So that was like the first time that we had someone willing to pay to get placements. Mikkel and Luke have done a tremendous job. Luke especially has built an incredible back end to host this whole thing, make it run smoothly, and help scale. And yeah, it's rolling right now. It's really fascinating, and there's real revenue coming in, which is really interesting. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's kind of what's going on right now.
So when you say you have people reaching out, are these developers in the crypto area, or are these not necessarily developers who know what crypto are? Can you explain a bit more about that?
Yeah,
Who's actually getting
yeah,
in touch?
yeah, definitely people that are still connected with the crypto community.
Right.
I don't think we haven't really crossed the awareness level to anyone really outside.
Right.
However, from the 2017 days, I was talking a lot about Brave, and because I worked in ad tech in 2017 during the last crypto run, and we were talking about Brave to some of the large agency holding companies like Dentsu Aegis, which is the largest holding company in the world, and they actually did a recent AMA with the Brave founder. I forget his name off the top of my head, but founded JavaScript and that Brave project. So Dentsu is very much involved in the idea of token-based ad experiences, and I think Brave comes at it from the direction of like the no cookies kind of movement,
Yeah.
and helping advertisers understand that you can't, as the cookie kind of goes away and all the tracking capabilities with that, you're going to need some sort of, I guess, native experience. I don't know if that's what you can call Brave, but within the sandbox, you have to play within a sandbox that a
Yeah.
lot of the browsers are blocking, tracking out of. So yeah, there is some conversations that are outside, but most of it's in the crypto community still.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, the stage that we're at. I mean, obviously it is early days, but do you have any sort of strategy or idea on how you might move outside of that crypto area?
Yes, this is kind of the next stage. It's really interesting. We're starting to get to enough scale where we can go to advertisers and say, hey, we have something really interesting here. A lot of advertisers, though, will, generally speaking, ask, hey, what's your scale in the US? What's your scale in Canada? What's your scale in Europe? And then kind of the rest of the world is, on a case by case basis. We don't really have the scale, I think, in North America and in parts of Europe that we would like yet.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, th- the conversations will happen, but it's definitely, you got to have scale, and we're starting to get there. So as for kind of what the future of Kin Ads looks like, I think the first version of the project was to prove that we could run programmatic advertising and take that revenue and buy kin on the open exchanges, and we proved that. The
Yeah.
second version of the project was, okay, is the infrastructure stable? Can we scale it up? Luke's done a great job there. We built the dashboard. All the apps have logins to dashboards, so there's complete transparency there. We've actually moved to a net 3 payment days, which is interesting. So instead of net 30, which is when we're paid out from the ad networks, we are actually paying the developers out every 3 days. Well, it's kind of every day, but their revenue lags 3 days. So let's
Right.
say
Yeah.
you're running impressions today. You won't get paid out for that revenue in 3 more days into the future. So we do wait
Yeah.
for some settlement, especially around the data on these platforms can be kind of iffy and it takes a few days to settle. So that was kind of the second iteration. And then I think the third iteration of the platform, KinAds Network, that we're looking at is, okay, how do we kind of change the way we are talking about token-based ad experiences and move more to thought leadership? And we're still kind of confined within the kin ecosystem from an app perspective currently, and until the SEC case goes away, which I'm way more positive on now than I was back in May, but until that happens and the project continues to mature in the eyes of the law, it's going to be a hard sell to a lot of publishers outside of the crypto ecosystem. So there's some maturing there that's going to happen. However, we think we can get pretty far with the current kin integrated apps, 7 of which are running kin ads.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you say, with the SEC cloud hanging over the ecosystem, would you say that the entire kin ads team is feeling the same as you, Josh? Optimistic, positive?
Yeah, I mean, we all are pretty positive and bullish on the concept of a cross app currency. And so far we're that is kin for us. I won't speak for them, but we do meet once a week and things have been going pretty well. We're actually blown away by the amount of revenue that's coming in currently. And, there's still more to happen here, and there's another part to the story. Kind of what I'd like to see us move to is be more of, I don't want to say a consumer focused brand, but really kind of becoming a startup, get more of a startup. Like right now we're kind of 3 team members working on this thing. We've launched off the ground, but you look at like TryLolly, or I saw there's another affiliate marketing platform that we're incentivizing with Bitcoin. Like they have beautiful branding and they really have a clean story and a concise story. So, we've been talking about kind of what the future of the Kin Ad Networks project looks like and how we can brand it and position it. So, we're definitely thinking about that as the next phase, and our team members are all like really excited about the future of this project.
That's great. That's really good to know. So we've actually got some really good questions here. Do you want to jump into them now, or?
Let's hit it, man.
You sure? Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for everyone watching, this is the second Kin Ads EMA. We have questions submitted via Reddit and Google Forms. The first question here is from Throwaway Burrows. Do you see any potential issues for Kin Ads during the migration to Solana?
Ooh, good question. I'm not really a technical person. I understand kind of the technical aspect, and I was on the Kin AMA with Solana when they first presented it, and everything made sense. They're really smart, and but as for the specifics, how that migration will work, I don't know and can't really speak on it. So we'll have to wait and see on that one.
Yeah. So we've got 3 questions here submitted from UMOOP. Question 1, will Kin Ads be used as a marketing incentive to future Kin apps by the Kin Foundation? If so, is there any talk to make a joint effort with the Kin Foundation? And if not, how will you market it to future devs?
Yeah, so okay, that's like 3 questions. So the first part of that question was, is this a marketing tool for non-Kin integrated apps? I definitely think so. I think it's interesting because, especially with PureBet, when we saw the first kind of wave of users coming into PureBet, and, PureBet doesn't want me to say what their actual daily active users are, but it did come out in a Reddit post, actually, a Reddit comment very recently from their team. But it did go up a bunch, and it went from, a few hundred to all of a sudden, five figures in like 3 days, and it was a pretty interesting rise. Now those users came from Vietnam and Bangladesh, and taking a step back, you can kind of a lot of marketers and a lot of developers might say, hey, those are not the users that we're looking for because we want North American users, quote unquote. But I did also look at what was the corresponding rise and knock-on effects of that rise. So in US, UK, and a couple other North America or English-speaking markets, Australia, it did jump a fair amount, actually. I think it was 700% rise in daily active users. So we did see the corresponding rise. And what happens there is basically the App Store, they have some internal algorithms that surface apps that are trending. And so clearly PureBet got on one of these lists. And as more users came in, more reviews came in, and it kind of started the snowball effect. So it did increase daily active users in target markets. And I think that is a great marketing tool. Just the fact that you can integrate this module, you can earn additional revenue from the KRE buy track, and also you can spark off like a little bit of activity in your app. And PureBet's Simon there was like, keeping the servers up, and he would tell me like, hey man, there's a lot of users coming in here. And they were placing bets. It's great. They're actually using the app. There wasn't just the, come in for the free kin and like dip out. I'm sure that was part of that. But so from that standpoint, I think this is a great tool that will bring people into the ecosystem. And it's not kin specific. It's literally when you give people real money for watching ads, which no one's ever done really successfully at scale. Consumers love it, whether they go and take that, cash it out, or do whatever. I mean, that's up to them. But it's interesting. You had two other parts of that question I want to address too.
Yes. If so, is there any talk to make a joint effort with the Kin Foundation?
Yeah,
so a joint marketing effort.
Really simply, we're the first and I believe still only approved KRE buy track module. So from that standpoint, yeah, we definitely work with the Kin Foundation. We started as a Kin Foundation grant, so very involved with the team at Kin, and they've done a good job. You know what? They've been very supportive, and obviously this project wouldn't have been possible without them. I hope they continue to decentralize the onboarding and application to these grants, because I'd love to see more modules join, more companies building on the network. So I encourage, in every post I make, I encourage people to build and actually do something. Let's get past like just the crypto speculative, So.
Yeah, well, I mean, just so far, just the progress that you've made with Kin Ads, I mean, it's got to be inspiring some people in the community to think, look, how can we contribute? You've got stats here already in the early days that show that this is working, and it's obviously a good thing for the ecosystem as a whole. So I mean, yeah, it's got to be inspiring people.
Absolutely.
So her second question was, have you developed a relationship with TED, the Kin Foundation, and Kik? And if so, what is the extent of the relationship with them?
So we were on a call talking early on about Kin Ads with TED and the developers. It wasn't really like, I wouldn't say it was a big hurrah call. It was just kind of to get feedback and see if this is something that the ecosystem were interested in or appreciated. And largely it was pretty positive feedback. Something that came out of that call that was like, there's some really interesting ideas that are floating around that we want to work on. However, we'll maybe talk to it in a minute, but the bot situation that we've dealt with is like kind of put everything on hold until we kind of deal with that and like lock down basically all the pieces. So, and maybe I'll just talk about the bot situation now. So we started to notice this, and part of the rise in PureBet, I think, was related to this. So PureBet does not require any sort of email sign up or, Facebook, sign in with Facebook or sign in with Google kind of sign in. And when you don't have that, and I think that's great, because with crypto, you want to start, you want to create a wallet, and you want to have self custody of your tokens. You don't want to have to, put your email in and kind of KYC yourself, if you will. Like, you just want to open the app and it work. The problem is people, that's like an attack vector that's really interesting for a lot of people. And then layer on like the ad network side of it, like ironSource, because it's rewarded video, and all of a sudden all these bots come in and are like figuring out how to exploit it. And whoever's running these bots is incredibly smart. Like, we've been working with PeerBet and the team to figure out a way to lock this down. And like, they literally are tricking ironSource, not even related to KinAds. And actually, there's very little that KinAds itself is doing. And, I don't know the intricate details, but I followed the threads on Slack, and there's many nights of them talking about it. And, it is the whatever bots that are going after PeerBet are literally tricking ironSource to then trick the SDK to pay out Kin to whatever wallets. So it's something we've reached out to ironSource and said, hey, you guys really kind of need to up your security game here, because this is an attack point. And I think in the past, advertising's never really had real money associated to it. So it's never been lucrative. Like, you see an ad and what are you going to earn, some gems? Like, cool. Those don't have a marketable value. You can't remove those out of the app. There's no market for gems out there. So, we're going through this process, and we're learning really fast. And we are, Luke is doing some security stuff that is very impressive, and we're hoping it can kind of shut it down. So that's the whole bot situation. There's really not much we can do if ironSource itself is not overly secure from that standpoint.
Right. Thanks, Josh. And Yumub's last question is a good question. As it's in the best interest of everyone to help KinAds grow, how can we as a community contribute to KinAds in our free time?
Ooh, great question. Build an app and integrate the ironSource rewarded video SDK. I mean, contribution, generally speaking, like, I see a lot of people that are commenting and saying, why isn't this happening? What's going on here? And, I just want to say, look, like, build something, try something out and build in this ecosystem. It's easy to sit on Reddit and just like think that, you hold Kin and like expect it to skyrocket in price. Like, I'm guilty of that too. But at the end of the day, you just kind of got to put yourself out there and try building. So if you're a developer, like, amazing. Thank you for still being here. If you're kind of someone watching, then maybe create content, maybe write opinion pieces on, as a consumer, you want to be rewarded for your time and attention. Like, if you view an ad, you want to get paid for that. So I think if you're a consumer, that is what we'd love to see, is more people stand up and say, hey, Facebook, Google, whoever it is, the advertising agencies, we want to get a piece of the action as consumers. That would be very helpful. So
yeah, and on that point, it's probably worth mentioning that obviously if people are contributing in that way, they can submit to the Kin Community Rewards. The best way to go about that is to go to kincouncil.com, and everything's laid out on there, and which explains how to do it. But yeah, no, that's great. Thanks, Josh. So we've got a couple of questions here from Kid Wonder of the Kin representatives in the council.
What up,
Question
Kid Wonder?
1. Yeah, this is Will. Question 1, how scalable is KinAds currently?
Pretty scalable. It's, I believe, on AWS Lambda, and that basically just means it's cloud. They can spin up servers whenever they want, and so it is quite scalable now. And we're actually, funny enough, the bot situation that we're seeing, like, it's like calling the KinAds server thousands of times a second, and it's handling that traffic no problem. So shout out Amazon for that. But so we're realizing it's scalable. The problem is it costs a lot of money for nothing, essentially. So yeah, it's no good, but we're figuring it out. So scalable
Yeah.
is the answer.
Yeah. And the second question is, are buy transactions tagged differently in the blockchain?
Yeah, so I've had this question before. I think they are KADS, I believe, is what we've been tagging in the memo. KADS. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got another couple of questions here from the council, and this is Scar 89. Question 1. How much time and effort is required for an existing kin app to implement kin ads, and how would that process differ from a non-kin integrated app?
Yes, there's two types of integrations that we've done. So on one side, if you have AdMob, which is owned by Google, and you're running, let's say, banner advertising, you can essentially just direct the revenue to the kin ad network, and then we can go and purchase that kin on your behalf and then hand it back to you. So that's one way.
Yeah.
In that experience, the consumer itself is not rewarded. So there's no, the consumer doesn't really know it's a kin ad thing. From the app standpoint, they're just wanting to contribute to the ad network to send more revenue to buy kin and create buy demand. And they do get rewarded from the KRE buy track. So there is an incentive to do that. The other type of integration is where you're implementing the ironSource rewarded video SDK, and that process, Luke has a Medium post on how that is. So when you email marketing at Kin Ads to integrate, we respond with the implementation guide, and now more importantly than ever, we respond with like a securities best practices that Luke again has developed for the community. Shout out Luke, done an amazing job with that. So you'll get those two pieces to not only implement the ironSource implementation, but also how to do it securely to not have the issues that we've been having. And yeah, time wise, I mean, some apps have done it in about a week, maybe a little bit longer, but it depends on how committed you are to getting it done. But it doesn't take too long.
Yeah.
I think another part to add to that is you also have to figure out, what the earn experience is and how to communicate that to your community in your app. So like Mad Libs, for instance, it's somewhere in the settings that you can go and earn some more. Amir and the team at Mad Libs have been amazing partners and are big supporters of us. So we're very grateful. Personally, we'd love to see kin ads more integrated to their experience. And I think one of the early findings is if you have high utility for the spend, so PureBet, for instance, has high utility, like betting your kin, you want to bet, rather than betting 100, you want to bet 1,000. So you need to go out and get 900 more. So there's high utility for kin and you want to go acquire it. So that's where kin ads does really well. If you don't have high utility, i.e. spends in your app, you're not going to have the greatest engagement on the kin ad side. And if you kind of bury it off to the side, again, it's hard to get that engagement. So, we can see that the completion rates and engagements from consumers when they're getting rewarded for kin is very high when you have high priced spends in your app. So the key insight here, and we're starting to get into like user experience design, is if you have an app, you want to charge people a fair amount of kin to use the app or the experience. And then you want to give them a really easy way where they can go and get that. And so far right now, that is, it used to be quizzes and polls and whatnot, where kin was just given out, but now kin ads is a great way to earn kin. And you kind of have to find a balance for your own app, but so to integrate, it's easy, but you have to think about the user experience on some of the points that I just mentioned.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I mean, the spends and the earns, they go hand in hand. Like you say, that makes perfect sense. And the second question here is, there are some viral apps about brain training that use points to get a clue to solve riddles. You can get these points watching a video or paying in fiat. Why would it be better for them to use kin and kin ads? Could they get a better engagement and monetizing system?
It's a great question. So I don't think you're replacing in-app purchase with kin ads, nor are you really replacing in-app purchase with kin itself. Kin is still a really nascent technology, and the blockchain space is still really early, and no one really knows who kin is. To be honest with you, at the end of the day, it's still very
Yeah.
small, and the community is small compared to the larger mobile ecosystem. So I don't think it's early to say that it replaces any of those monetization models. I think it's interesting to test. Like, if Kin really fulfills his vision, that the original vision that was laid out in 2017 by Kick, I mean, this has the potential of being pretty interesting, quite large. Like, it's no mystery that social media apps have grown tremendously and have accrued massive market caps. Go look at the market cap of Facebook. Like, not comparing the two, of course, but the category is huge. And the Kin team just needs to kind of it needs to be mature in the eyes of the law. So we got to get past that.
Yeah.
If we can't get past that, then this is a tough sell to anyone in the future, in my opinion. But if we can get past it, and we've seen Shopify and Libra or invest in Libra project, and we're just seeing some momentum. Apps will come, and they'll start slow at first, but it'll come quite a bit. So to Scar's point of this specific mind training, do I think a token model in an app works? Absolutely. I'm seeing it. It works. However, is it going to be Kin? It's too early to say, to be honest with you. And everything that we're doing now is to prepare the ecosystem for when that time comes, that, this is mature in the eyes of the law, and that, people are really interested. We want to be there to support people and support apps when they're ready. So we're still kind of early days, I think, is the short answer to this one.
So we've come to the last question from the community here. This is from CryptoKin News. Can you share any figures on how many people have watched an advert, and do they know if it's increasing the use of the apps? If so, what's the latest figures percentage-wise of increased usability?
Ooh, exact numbers. So last I saw, we have about 4.5 to 5 million monthly active users, I believe, in the ad network between all the apps integrated, which is actually pretty large. I think we're pretty excited about that. As for specific numbers, I don't, on the stream, I don't know if I can pull them out the top of my head. That's something maybe best for future Medium posts that I do. And I try and be transparent as possible, to be honest with you. Like, the posts that we've done about literally saying the exact revenue in Kin that we're buying, we don't have to tell the community that, but we feel it's important. We want people to know that something's working here and that we're seeing something interesting, and to pay attention. And then to the public, we want the public to know that, hey, look, there's this little ad network that's starting, and we'll look back in a year from now and we'll do this AMA again, and we'll say, wow, like, that was really cool, and what a wild ride it's been, is what I'm hoping. So short answer is I can't really answer that. And I think the 5 million daily active or monthly active users were from the ironSource SDK side. So there might be more in AdMob that we're missing, because some partners are just on AdMob, so we can't see that. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think most people in the community appreciate that you don't have to come on here and do this. You're doing this to help and to just give insights, and I think most people do appreciate it.
Yeah, get people excited, man. It's been so dry to be a part of this ecosystem. It's been tough. Like, look, if people are still engaged, and after all this time, it's been tough. So, but we're excited.
Yeah, it's been a long road.
Yeah.
That was the last question from the community. Thank you very much for answering those, Josh. It is appreciated.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Lee, do you want to maybe speak on, like, kind of just, what you see with the council, and what's going on in your journey? What's up with Cup of Kin? How are things going?
Yeah, Cup of Kin is going really well, actually. And I've been keeping an eye on, like, the Google stats, and yeah, it's a continuous growth of viewers and people logging in to see what's happening in the kin ecosystem. So it's definitely been worthwhile putting it together from the council, and it's something that we definitely want to continue and just keep building and working. I mean, I do mention when I put the post out to the community, if anyone's got any ideas for what they would like to see in there, because obviously we can do what we want, but it's not always what the community might want. So we're always listening and we always want to hear from them. But yeah, overall, it's been a very positive reception.
Yeah.
And
And maybe to
in
that
regards,
point, sorry, go ahead, mate. Finish your thought.
I was just going to say, in regards to the council as a whole, the council are very excited to build on all of this momentum that we've done so far in regards to the magazine, the website, the kin community rewards. It's something that we're not going to slow down on, and we want to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, man, we're at a very interesting time. And I
Yeah,
think this is a little plug for Cup of Kin. If there's any writers listening to this and you have an
yeah,
opinion or a thought, please reach out to Lee and contribute to Cup of Kin. We'd love to have your thoughts. Obviously, I've done two AMAs here, but we just love, if there's developers in the community that want to talk about what they're doing. I think it's good to have
yeah,
a diversity in voices from different sides, whether it be community, apps, projects like KinAds. And yeah, let's just like, I'd rather kind of contribute and say, look, like we didn't do it, either the SEC shut it all down or whatever. Like, I'd just rather contribute knowing that, I tried to do something,
yeah,
and because I truly do believe that a cross app digital currency will succeed. Someone's going to
yeah,
do this because it is a great opportunity. I'd love for it not to be Google or Facebook or Apple or one of these big companies. I'd love for it to be truly, put out to the world and then over time decentralized to the point where no one has control of it. I mean, the crypto space is on the cusp, in my opinion, of having another big run. Like, we can see it in the Bitcoin community. Stuff happening with DeFi and yield farming are all really interesting experiments. Like, there is really interesting things and people are starting to take note, and it's not just retail speculators. It is people on the institutional side, people at universities, developers, companies. There was a public company that put $250 million of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, and their stock price has ripped. Like, it's interesting. That's all I know. So, because you're all listening to this, you're in the Kin community, this is a project that you can contribute to and figure out in
yeah,
your own way. Like, let's keep the price stuff out of it and the speculative stuff out of it, and let's just build a community that is fun to be in and who builds real cool stuff. So, I mean, that's kind of my message is, yeah, build
yeah,
interesting stuff here. And I think it's a cool place to be part of. So, I mean,
yeah.
take that for what you want.
Yeah, well, on that point about contributing to the magazine, what I do really want the message I want to get across is this is all about the community and the ecosystem. For example, like you say, KinAds is a great example. We're sitting here doing this, we're putting this in the magazine, and we're educating the community about your project. There's no reason why anyone else in the ecosystem can't do the same thing. If anyone's got an app or is building anything to do with kin, they can reach out to us and we can get them on here and we can push them through the magazine, through the social media. It's a really important point that we need to keep pushing.
Yeah, you're a great live stream host too, by the way. If anyone's wanting what I do in GA, I work at a coding boot camp, and we teach UX designers, data science people to get into jobs in tech, and it's a cool place to build those communities. So for me, tech is something really interesting, and we do crypto stuff at GA. We teach some workshops on what blockchain is, and yeah, so it's fun. I think the world's changing, and I just thanks Lee for doing this again, and I enjoy it. This is much more casual than last time. It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Like I say, on behalf of the community, thank you very much for doing this. It really is appreciated, and looking forward to the next one.
Cool, guys. Thanks for building with Kin, and we'll see you all on another stream. Take care.
Cheers.